Hello, 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 everyone. How are you guys doing? I wanted to jump on here because I have a special guest with me today. This is an impromptu conversation that I wanted to have with one of our Healthy Runner coaching client um, people here. So I have Francisco here with me today, and Francisco has got an amazing story to share. And I knew I needed to get Francisco on the podcast to share it with you because there are many of you out there who are probably feeling some similar things that Francisco is feeling, kind of being stuck as a runner. And, he found a way to get unstuck and do some amazing things in his running journey, hitting PRs in his half marathon, and then not only running his first marathon, but crushing his first marathon and actually getting a BQ. So he qualified for Boston with a 5 minute cushion, and he's just done some amazing things. I told him before we even did this, I said, Francisco, one day when I grow up, I want to be just like you. So I'm excited to welcome you officially onto the podcast, Francisco. Thank you so much for agreeing to share your story with all of us.
Thank you, Duane, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, no, this has been a long time in the making. I've just been at awe of what you've been able to do with your running in working with Coach Lou on our team, really since pretty much last year. Like we had talked about, I just mentioned to you before that we're almost coming up on like our year anniversary. I met you just before we ran the Cheshire Half Marathon last summer when it was rescheduled because of COVID. So that was in July last year. So we're kind of coming up on a year. And shortly thereafter, you had started working with Coach Lou within our program. And I've just been loving what you've been doing with your running. And for those who have been a longtime listener of the podcast, they probably have heard your name before, Francisco, because I just love saying your name. By the way, I love your name. And I've mentioned you multiple times on the podcast. I know I definitely mentioned you after my half marathon reflection from Hartford last fall, in which I shared the story of how I was running a great race. And then you gave me a tap on the back and just went right past me, probably in the last mile of the half marathon. And I was like, wow, Francisco is killing it. And I was just like super happy for you. And I was trying to stick with you. I'm not going to lie. And I couldn't. So I was just like excited for you, but I was like, wow, he crushed this race. And you've been doing some amazing things with your running. You've like progressed as a runner, probably times 10, honestly, than most people who start running, especially kind of later in life. So if you don't mind just sharing, with those that are listening, when did you actually start running?
I started running January of 2019 in a way to improve my health, keep cholesterol down and the blood pressure and all that. And then I found out there was a race in my doorsteps at Holy Cross High School, which is the Chris Colbert 5K. And actually I said, let me try this. And if it doesn't work out, I just 2 minutes away from home, I walk. And I fall in love with the race. And I said, okay, I like this. Let me keep going.
Oh, yeah, I love that. You got that little taste and you were like, I want more. I want more. And back in 2019, you weren't like, you were someone who was above 50, right? And you decided to take up running later in life, basically for general health. And were your levels a little high? And like, did your doctor say, "Hey, cholesterol is getting a little high. We need to do something about that"? Is that what kind of sparked that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's was either start doing more exercise and change some diet or getting the pill.
Yep.
Uh, and I choose the other way.
That's great. And so you never had to go on medication to
No.
control any of that. And have your numbers improved since you've
Uh,
started?
Yes, yes. Basically, everything is like on the low end of the
That's
chart.
great. That's great. I'm sure your doctor was super happy for you and proud. And yeah, I'm sure the doctor doesn't probably get a lot of patients that actually do what like you did at age 54, taking up running. And, let's talk a little bit about that like running journey. So you kind of did your first 5K. You were running for about 2.5 years prior to us meeting last summer. And, what were you feeling, at that point in terms of your running? Like, where was your running out? And, why did you decide to, jump in our coaching program to work with Coach Lou?
Um, Going back to the race. So as soon as I come home, I like it so much that I sign up to run the Burlington to Collinsville 10K and the Hartford half. And the only thing I run was a 5K in 27 minutes. So from that point, I start running, going on the internet, Google stuff, and follow whatever they said. And it was no strength training. It was no track workouts. Um, Basically, my running, it was basically the same miles every day. I was running every day, and special until I start training for the Art for F. Then I start going 1 mile more uh, on the long runs on the weekend. So I didn't know anything, and yes, at the beginning I was PR every single run until nothing else improved. So I'm doing the same thing, and actually I'm going slower and slower. And but I didn't know any better, so I think I'm doing great.
Right. So
And
you kind of like hit this plateau in your
right,
running where you weren't getting any faster, doing with, what you started out doing yourself.
right.
Okay.
So then uh, I went to the race in Collinsville. It was fun because it was a race, but I had a bad time because I was tired. It was raining. It was no people clapping. I feel miserable. I said,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I want to do this. But then, I had the F marathon set up. So I start training for that and going in the longer runs, and still without no strength training, still no guidance about what should I be running, uh, different speeds and all that. It was still the same, still the same, still the same. And 3 weeks before the F, I got sick. I got a cold, and my longest run was 10 miles. That was it, and I couldn't run any no more longer runs until Hartford. And then that was it. That's a marathon day, and here I am. I don't know if I can run 13 because I only run 10.
Right.
Uh, so
But you did finish the half.
yes, I finished the half.
Okay.
I
That's a good
finished the
thing.
half. Yes.
No injuries, right?
Nope.
Good.
Yes, I've been really blessed about that. And so I finished the half, and I thought I did amazing. Uh, I finished in 154. Um, and I was happy with that, and I was having a good time. And then my world changed around too, because a couple hours after I finished, um, I thought I was dead and I was in heaven because everything I saw was white. I couldn't hear anything, I couldn't do anything, and I ended up in the hospital, and all my body was shutting down basically because of dehydration, and I didn't have
Oh
nothing in
wow.
my body. Yes, it was not pretty. So I stayed in the hospital one day until they figured it out that it was not a heart attack or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I asked the cardiologist is like, "Can I run again? Can I run
Yeah.
again?" I said, "Well, I don't see no reason." And so after that, I got scared, and I started training for Cheshire the year that
Mhm.
we met. And still, I was really scared to run that. And my wife, she didn't want me to go running because she saw what happened before. And then I found the healthy group um, like 3 months before Cheshire. And I started
Yeah.
asking questions. And probably everybody thought that was annoying because every day I would go there and ask a question. How do you guys do this? How do you guys do that? And at the same time, I was like, well, they're not going to answer. I don't belong in the group. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, I decided that, and I reached out to you, and I said, listen, I want to join the program, and this and that, and I want to sign up for a half marathon. And you explained to me what it was all about, and this and that, and I said, great, great. So then it comes Cheshire. It was good. It was hot. It was humid.
Right. Yeah. Half marathon mid-July is not
Yes,
ideal conditions
yes,
whatsoever. And yeah, let me just jump in there for a second because first off, that was super scary, that scenario that you faced after that half. I couldn't imagine how scary that was, right? Like going to the hospital and, and just obviously, thinking you're having a heart attack or, not knowing if you'd be able to run again. So I'm happy to hear that, it was a dehydration issue and that health wise, you're in good health, and that you were able to get back into running. And I do remember when you had joined. So for those who are listening to the podcast, if you guys don't know, we do have a Healthy Runner Facebook group or community. And that's what Francisco was alluding to before, is that he would, type questions within our community. We have like some amazing runners. We have a team of coaches who kind of answer, running related questions. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're on Facebook, join our group. You can get your questions answered. But yeah, I do remember your name like popping up there. And, we had commented back and forth a bunch of times. And then I think we even met at Packet Pickup, didn't we? We
yes.
met at
That's
Packet Pickup. Yeah.
yes,
And
yes.
you introduced yourself, which was awesome. You like came up and introduced yourself. And then I remember I saw you the next morning for the warm up that we did at the race. And yeah, then you were kind of in our program, starting to work on your next training cycle and training for the Hartford half, which was last fall. And you began working with Coach Lou. What were some of the things that you noticed right away that was different, working with Coach Lou than your previous training? So for that 2.5 years that you were kind of doing it on your own, what were like some of the big things that you noticed right away that like, whoa, okay, this is different. This is like a different level.
Well, the biggest thing was the knowledge that Coach Lou had. The way he looks at you, and by the things that you tell him, how he's able to start a program for you. We know that their program is going to change because you are improving and stuff like that. But I was amazed. It's like, he don't know me. How he's doing all this, and it was amazing. And I felt a connection with Coach Lou. I met him for the first time at the Packers pickup. We
Yep.
were supposed to have a phone call that afternoon, and it was even better because I met him live. And
Mm-hmm.
so he was able to explain to me how we were going to work and this. So, and then the other big thing when I start the training was, oh, I can't skip anything because he's going to be watching this. And
Yeah.
accountability. And so those are the two big things about joining the program.
Yeah. So
Um,
just becoming kind of smarter as a runner and getting all of his knowledge and that big brain of his. And
Yes.
then the accountability piece, like knowing, hey, he can see the runs that you're doing on our final search platform that we use, and he can see if you're running those easy runs too fast, right?
Yes.
And he
Yes.
will let you know.
And I'll let you know.
Yeah, so having that accountability was different for you. And then I would imagine, were you doing speed work prior to working with Coach Lou and doing like faster workouts on, interval workouts and track workouts and stuff? Or no, was this your first time doing
That
some
was
of
my
that
first
faster?
time. That was
Okay.
my first time.
Yeah, so that was something new and different, right? And how were you nervous about this?
Yes, because it's like, uh, I don't know if I can reach this times that he's giving me, and uh, I'm gonna pass out on this, And but you know what? It was good. It was good to feel that I could have done that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I was happy.
Yeah, so you were like challenging yourself, right? Like you're doing something you never did before in your life, essentially, um, and running these hard workout. And the other thing that's remarkable about you, Francisco, we didn't talk about that before, but you know, um, it's not like you have a job where you're like sitting at a computer all day and you're like sedentary, right? You work for UPS, right?
I work for
You're
you.
yeah, you're lifting boxes, you're in and out of truck, right? Like your job is very physical, correct?
Yes, yes, very. uh, Not only I do the miles that I'm required for the training, but then is like another 10 miles walking, just doing my job. And of course the lifting part, but the lifting part is a good thing too, because I did some of my workouts, my strength training in the back of that truck,
Oh, that's
use
awesome.
using boxes, using the steps of the truck, using stuff like that to do my workouts.
Oh, I love
uh,
that. Yeah, the creativity. Oh, I love
you
it.
had to. Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so you were had a very physical job. You were able to complete some hard training, doing speed work for the first time at that time. What you were 56, like doing speed work, and you pretty much. I remember there was one time, right? You were starting to get some achiness in your knees, I believe, and we
it,
kind
it
of
was
gave you
my
some
it,
strategies for that.
yes, it was my Achilles. And
Okay.
uh, and then yes, I reached out to Coach Lou, and he reached out to you, and you reach out to me, and you set up a strategy with some exercises. And yes, I stopped the speed workouts for a while, but that fixed the problem. Since then, knock on wood, has been great.
Yeah, and that's pretty common. And those that are kind of listening here, that is something that I would encourage you all to think about because as runners, we're putting our bodies through, rigorous training. You're doing things for the first time, whether it is like your first longest long run, right? Or your first time doing speed work. First time, most weekly mileage, right? Like we hit these milestones and sometimes we're walking that line on what our bodies can tolerate and our tissues can tolerate. And it's not uncommon to get an Achilles that starts to get a little ache and pain, or some people call it a niggle, right, in their knee or in their IT band. And what I find the most common problems that many runners face is they do one of two things. They either ignore it and they continue to just plow right through. And then at literally, the 16-mile or the 18-mile run of a marathon training cycle, now it was this little thing and now it blows up to be this big issue. And now they can hardly walk. And now they realize now I have to stop my marathon training and I can't actually do the race that I signed up for, which is just terrible. And I hate hearing when that happens to runners. Or they do the opposite, in which they stop running and are just like, I'm going to take 3 to 4 weeks off of running, wait for my pain to completely subside, and then just go back into running. But they haven't actually addressed like the reason why they got the pain to begin with. So then it just comes back again, and then they're in this like never ending cycle. and they think, oh, I can never be a runner. I can never, do a long run more than 10 miles because my Achilles or my runner's knee comes back. So those are like the two big mistakes. And basically what Francisco just, explained to you guys is how you need to approach it. Is when you start feeling an ache and pain, if it lasts more than a day or two, then you need to get it checked out by someone who's qualified to be able to provide you strategies to prevent that from becoming a major problem down the road. And then your training is scrapped, right? And you've wasted the last 2 to 3 months working hard, building up for like this goal race. And now you can't even do the goal race. So that is like a big, hopefully, those that are listening, take home message is to, get those things addressed by your, local or virtual running, healthcare provider that can actually give you the strategies and not tell you to just stop running. Because especially if it is in that beginning phases, it's pretty much rare and shouldn't happen that you need to actually stop running. You could just modify, like Francisco said. Coach Lou took out the speed work for a couple of weeks. I gave him specific exercises to actually load that tendon, strengthen it up, and then he was like good to go. So I think that's an important lesson for all of you who are listening, to learn if you do feel any ache and pain. So yeah, let's talk about Hartford half. I kind of mentioned that you kind of blew past me and you crushed it. You got actually a 10-minute PR, right?
Yes.
And this
Yes.
was kind of your first training cycle working with Coach Lou and implementing the speed work that you did implement. And that is the other thing that I want to mention as well, is because a lot of runners who feel stuck and they're not getting faster are doing like the same runs every day, and they're just going out and running like 5 miles every day at the same pace, and they're doing the same long runs, and they're always maybe doing a 10 or 12-mile long run on the weekends, but they're stagnant because they're not changing any variables, right? So adding in speed work and faster strategic running can help get us faster. But we need to do it in a scientifically based way, right? So we don't do too much. So that's where our Coach Lou comes in, and he's a genius at that. And he programs some amazing runs for you in which you shave 10 minutes off your half marathon time. So that's pretty awesome. And then your second half marathon, so your next training cycle while working in the program, you ran Cheshire half this last spring, and you even shaved another 5 minutes, right, off that time. Wow.
Yes.
And that was some hard winter training you were doing. Like, I know you were training hard in the winter, and that was like your tune-up basically race for your big race, which was your first marathon, right? Was Providence.
Right.
Okay.
And there was another thing. Even the prior to last winter, I never run outside in the winter because my lungs would not take the cold air. They would not take the cold air. And talking to Coach Lou, we start little bit by little bit, and I think I did 2 runs on the treadmill the whole winter. And so he taught me how to breathe and all that. And it was tough. But with this knowledge and him telling me what to do, he make it easy, and we were able to accomplish that.
Yeah. So the guidance that he was able
Yes.
to provide got you through winter running, which can be pretty brutal here in Connecticut in the Northeast. Yeah, I actually got my first treadmill run in this winter as well, Francisco, in like 11 years. I remember I had to like share that and post it. And I know Coach Cat
Well,
was proud of me for getting, but I only needed one. We didn't have a bad snow season this winter. It was cold temperatures, but we didn't have much snow and the roads were pretty good. So I only had to do one treadmill run. And yeah, embrace those, minus wind chill runs, and you just learn how to dress properly, and we can grind through those here in Connecticut.
yes, yes, we can.
Yeah, so let's take me to like your marathon. Like, what were your thoughts heading into the marathon? First off, with it being
Um,
your first marathon.
right. I did my first long run, the long run before Cheshire. If you remember that we does 14 miles.
Yep.
I never run anything more than that. And so I was concerned about, oh my God, we gotta do 18s and 20s, and uh, it was just overwhelming. Like thinking that's a lot of running, you know. And Coach Lou made that plan for me. And as you know, he does a lot of long runs with Spice. And,
Yes.
and those long runs, they are the best thing because he prepares you physically and also mentally. You know, you run 6 miles, is 8 miles easy. And then guess what? Now we got to run 4 marathon pace or three tempo runs. And that prepares you for those long runs and to break the wall and all that stuff that is mentally. It's not
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about the physical one. I'm talking about the mental one. It's like,
Right.
oh my God, I run 6 miles. Now I still got to run more and faster. And they help a lot. And so when I did Cheshire, he's like, okay, I'm going to do Cheshire. It's part of the training and this and that. And but when I look, I was like, wait a minute. I got to run 3 miles before I do the race. And wait a minute, I got to do 4 miles after I do the race. What's going on? You know, but he knows why he gives you that. And that's amazing the way he set up my schedule. And I was able to follow that and go through it. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, I got my number in the mail. Marathon is coming. It's no turning back. And I felt confident because I knew that I put in the training and I was going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
so
how did
we,
you do with your day of strategy? Because those that have been listening to the podcast know that we've shared Coach Lou's race strategy before in his Boston Marathon episode. Coach Whitney and I talked about it in our race day blueprint episode. How did you do implementing the strategy for your first marathon?
well, um, well, Coach Lou said, listen, this is your first marathon. Forget about anything. You're going to PR no matter what because it's your first one. So
Right.
you're going to PR. Don't worry about that.
That's guaranteed, right?
Right. And then he said, and you did the training, you're going to finish. But don't worry about nothing else. Just go there. Don't go too fast. And you're going to be able to do it. But I think he knew that I could BQ. He never told me, but
Oh
I think
yeah.
he knew.
He told
And
me.
there you go. See, everybody knew except me. So I had my own strategy that was like, Coach Lou was pacing the 3:35,
Mm-hmm.
which that was what I needed, or the time that they had for my age group to qualify. But 3:35 doesn't guarantee you anything. You got to go below that. So my goal was like, I'm going to follow Coach Lou. And then if I'm strong, I'm going to run and clap those 2 minutes. But nothing went according to plan in day because, yeah, Coach Lou was pacing the 3:35, but it was in wave A. I'm in wave
Oh.
B,
Oh no.
and I'm 3 minutes behind him.
Oh
They
wow.
start 3 minutes after wave A start.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my God, now what? So I just go like, okay, um, I cannot go out too fast.
Yep.
So they only last a mile. And after that, I said, okay, I just keep following people. And I would get a guy, say, well, I'm going to get to him and then I'm going to run with them. Then when they start getting slow, I'll pick somebody else. And I said, I'm feeling good. And guess what? I don't have to go to the bathroom. So I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And that's how I keep moving. Now we are like mile 16 and a half. And I see a cardboard in the front. It's like, oh, let's see what's that. It was Coach Lou.
Ah, nice.
By mile 17, I passed him. I gave him a hug.
Nice.
And I was like, Francisco. He was all excited and all that. And at that time, I knew that I was doing great. But
Right.
I still have 9 miles to go. It's not. But yeah, I just keep the pace. I keep thinking about what he said, and just
Did you
keeping.
hit a wall at all?
No, uh, well, I don't know if you can call a wall. By mile 23, that's when the hill starts. So you run 23 miles.
Oh, wow.
Basically at 7 something pace, and now you are tired, and now you got walls. I mean, you got hills. And they were like, oh, listen, you just go up the hill and then it's downhill from there. Like, okay, that sounds good. So you run up the hill, and guess what? You go down the hill and then it's another hill.
Oh, wow.
So hill after hill, and I'm like, oh my God. And I knew I was getting slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I hope I have enough because at this time I'm thinking, oh, IBQ, so I'm 3 minutes behind Coach Lou, and I already passed him, and so I'm ahead now. But
Right.
am I going to lose this time? And I'm just like, okay, 1 mile at a time, 1 mile at a time. And right before the straightaway is a short hill, but really steep. And I'm thinking about walking. But in my mind, I said, if I walk, that's it. I'm not going to be able to run again.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the kind of wall that I hit. As far as everything locking and stuff like that, no. And when I went back and I started looking at the miles, yeah, that was the mile 25 or something like that was my slowest mile, which was 8:20.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I knew I was so happy that it's like,
Oh, yeah. You run 24 something miles, less than that. And then you're running an 8:20 pace. Like that's amazing. Honestly, like that's amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
I was so happy with that. I forgot to pick up the food in the chute.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't pick up no water, no nothing. Then when I tried to go back, they didn't let me go back. So I had no food at the
Oh
end or
my
anything.
goodness.
So it was like, thank God that Coach Lou was behind, and he was able to give me a couple bananas because it was still in the chute. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That's
Thank you, thank
just
you.
amazing that, your first marathon, age, 57, getting a BQ and, having a bunch of padding there, like a 5-minute cushion. That's just like totally remarkable, not getting injured along the way. Yeah. And I guess even, if you can share, because I know sometimes a misconception many runners have, especially those who are over age 50, is they don't want to do strength training because they think they're going to get injured, or they're too old for strength training, or that it's just not good for them. What has been your experience like doing some of the like strength specific exercise that we have for runners in our program?
Uh, it's been great. It's been extraordinary. My idea of strength training was, okay, we go to the gym and we pick up weights and do this
Do
stuff
some
and then we
bench
go to
press.
the machines. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, okay. And the way my strength training that you guys provide was awesome, because a lot of it you use your body as the way to strengthen your body, and was great. It's like you start at on pace and you do the exercise, and you don't think those exercises going to do nothing, but they do miracles, because they really strengthen the muscles and the stuff that you need for running. And that was, to me, I never did it before, and now I cannot run without it. That's
Yeah.
That's what I take from it.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yeah, the body weight, strength training exercise that we have in the program are can be very challenging, right? Especially the single leg
Yes.
ones, like they can be hard. And there are ways that we can progress those. And you can really load the specific muscles and the tissues that you need to load. Yeah, if there was anyone who was kind of on the fence about like our Healthy Runner coaching program or working with Coach Lou, do you have any advice or recommendations that you can give them?
Uh, yes, if you want to improve your running, if you want to be health, no injuries, yes, sign up for the program. I all the coaches are great, but I only can talk more about Coach Lou. That I've been working with them, and he's to me is the best that is, and he really learns to to know you, so he can give you the specifics for you, for your body, for the way you run. So uh, Coach Lou is the reason why I run every week happy and injury free, and it makes it fun. Even hard workouts and the spicy runs and all that, they are hard, and but it makes it fun.
Right.
And he's amazing. He's amazing.
He is, yeah. No, I just love having him on our team. He's also my coach, so I hear you on the feedback side of things, and I'm just so blessed, honestly, to have everyone on our team that we have in our coaching team just cares, right? And they really get to know every single runner that they're working with, and gets them to those goals. So, if you're a runner right now listening to this and you're like, you were stuck in your running, you're not getting any faster like Francisco was, prior to jumping in our program, and you're doubting whether or not you're too old to be a runner, or, you can't get any faster anymore. Like, here is proof. Like, Francisco did it, right? Like, he not only made like small changes in his running fitness, like he made huge changes in his running fitness. So, my question and challenge to you guys is, if you're ready to take control of your health and, get your life back and, be able to do hard things, even if you're in your 50s, and you want to, finally invest in yourself and having a strong mind, a strong body. And so you can run for longevity and you can continue to, stay in good physical shape, like your original reason for getting into running, was to help your physical health, or if you want to help your mental well-being. And there's so many of us runners now, we see those mental benefits of that stress relief that we need from everyday life, that we're all going through. And if you guys, if your answer is really yes, I'm ready to do that, we'd be honored to guide you back, to getting back on the pavement, doing what you love if you're struggling with an injury or you're just not getting any faster. So you can learn more about our program by just going to learn.sparkhealthyRunner.com/coaching, and see if the program is a good fit for you. You'll hear from many of our other clients like Francisco, who were struggling with runner's knee, or who were struggling with Achilles pain, or who just didn't think they were a runner. Many who have gone on to BQ, many have gone on to run their first 5K, first half marathon, right? So whatever your running goal is, we have a running coach for you that can get you to that goal. And I would love to see if you're a good fit. You can hop right on my calendar and book a call, and this is a low pressure call. We'll just see where your running's at, and if it's a good fit for how we help runners, then we talk about what that would look like. So you can grab a slot on my calendar, and we'll be happy to chat. And yeah, Francisco, thank you so much for sharing your story with our Healthy Runner, community. I am personally inspired by you, in so many ways, and I'm sure there are many runners out there who now heard this that are also inspired, as well. So thank you for sharing your story. I know it's kind of something that you don't do regularly, right? And you never thought you'd probably be sharing your running story,
No.
with the public. And so I appreciate you getting out of, I'm sure, your comfort zone and sharing it with our listeners.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was an honor to be in your show, and I hope I can help people my age go back out there and run and have fun.
Yeah, well, thanks again. We really appreciate it. And to all the runners who are listening to this, as always, let's stay active, let's stay healthy, and let's just keep on running with a strong mind and a strong body. Until next time, guys.